Hello, my name is Craig, and we're going to show you how to remove a MCH8 through 16 flywheel. And this is a newer flywheel. There's some older ones that have like a star pattern in the center, but this is a newer one, and it can be difficult to change the flywheel. It really requires a tool. This tool right here is set up for actually an MCH6 compressor, which has smaller bolt holes. So you got to make sure that the bolts actually fit through the holes. There could be a chance where you may have to drill out these holes to the proper size for an MCH8 16. And what I've done, just to save time on this video, is I've already removed the center bolt, and I took off the washer and this washer that were like this with the bolt through it. I threaded the bolt back in, and that's what this center bolt is sitting on. And then I took the also these two bolts that you can probably purchase with the tool. Make sure you're getting them with the tool that are long enough to go into this hub here. So the hub is sitting on top of the shaft. There's a keyway in there, and I've started the process for time. So basically we want to screw this in so the whole thing's even, and then we're just going to simply turn it until the whole thing comes off. And now we're sitting with the bolt. So that completes removing it. Actually getting it on can be a little bit even harder, I would say. You want to make sure that you have your keyway in place. You want to make sure that your whole shaft here is smooth when it goes back on. It may be a good idea to heat up this hub. Also, if there's any type of groove in here or anything like that, remove the groove first with maybe some sandpaper or something. Make sure it's really clean, and then try to put it on, or heat this whole hub with a torch a little bit around here before sticking it on so it expands a little bit. And then you'll probably have to have a hammer ready, and you're probably going to have one chance at heating it up. So make sure that you have some type of sledgehammer or something where you can literally put this on, line up the key. Maybe you even take something like a large socket, stick it in the middle, and then you can pound it on after removing, obviously, this puller here. Now, we might do this to change the fan because it broke or it was bent. We also may consider, if we're doing any type of bearing replacement, we would have to remove this. There's actually a situation where the cooling line actually runs back and forth as well. And to get at the bolts, it's best to remove the flywheel. But if you can get around not removing the flywheel, I would suggest not removing the flywheel unless you're going to do the bearings, and try to deal with maybe getting in between the fins if you have to access the bolts for a cooling line. Okay, we're going to reassemble the 816 flywheel onto the crankshaft here. And a little tip, if you have any type of ridge or anything on the inside of this, you want to definitely take a Dremel or do something to get that little ridge out. Also, when we put down this flywheel, it's got to go down straight. If you go down on it at all of an angle, you're going to create a ridge in there that's going to catch at a later date. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, what I suggest is heating this first to expand it a little bit. And it probably is, we're just going to heat it for, let's say, 2 minutes. So we're just going to kind of give you a demonstration here of how you would go around in a circular pattern to heat this up. I mean, you could, obviously go a little bit on the inside, but for the most part, I think that we're just trying to get the tapered end on first, and by heating this, hopefully it can slip in. A little trick that's used sometimes when doing the bearings, to put like this flange on, is like you might heat this up and freeze the crankshaft. Believe it or not, it makes a very big difference by heating something like this before putting it on. Okay, we're gonna pretend like that was 2 minutes for the sake of argument and a shorter video. And now I'm going to line up the keyhole here with the keyhole here, being very careful not to do anything wrong. So right away, I can tell that this dropped on a lot farther than in the past. And I'm just going to tap this lightly. And we want to make sure I'm using a round thing. If I wasn't using this, I'd be hitting that or that and knocking it off to the side. So I'm just trying to get it down. As you can see, it's dropping into place. Now, I want to tell you, though, there's probably a better way of doing this. This is the original bolt, and it's a 10 by 35. The 10 by 35, if we were to put this here and put it in, it doesn't quite thread in, even at this point, even after hammering this. But if we were to order, when we ordered either the tool or the fan, if we were to order a bolt that was 10 by 55 and it was longer, what we could do is we could turn this in because it would it would connect to the threads, and we could suck this whole thing down without any problems, without it going down unevenly or anything. And then once we get it down where the bolt bottoms out, then we could take that bolt out, then take the proper bolt, which is a 1035 for the newer hub, and put it in, and then it would make contact, and then we could screw it all the way in. Now, one very important thing that I just skipped here is that you must have Loctite on this bolt. And you obviously have to have this larger piece holding it in. And then when you're done and it's sucked all the way down, just take a look at it and make sure that everything looks right and that the bolt is obviously tight but not over tight, and that when you're looking at the bottom, everything's even. So I'm just doing a simulation using an older hub that has a break in it, so I'm not worried about that. This crankshaft was an old crankshaft as well, and so that's why I have it in a vise like this. But obviously, we wouldn't use a vise. We would have the compressor all rebuilt and standing on its frame and then put this in. And that's another reason why a longer bolt could suck it in a lot easier than if you were on the side. It's really hard to say what's level and what's not level when you're putting this flywheel on. And you want to be really careful about this because, this is like, at least a $400 or $500 flywheel. You don't want to put it on sideways and then, have it crack or, have something happen to the shaft where now you have to buy another flywheel or replace the whole crankshaft.